Such are the contests, and such the prizes that lie before us. How long, then, shall we mock ourselves by pretending to be devout, serving the Lord with hypocrisy, being thought one thing by men, but clearly seen to be quite differently by Him who knows our secrets? Other people regard us as saintly, but we are still savage. Although we have indeed an outward form of godliness, we do not possess its power before God. 2 Timothy chapter 3, verse 5. Other people regard us as virginal and chaste, but in the sight of Him who knows our secrets, we are inwardly defiled by our assent to thoughts of unchastity, and made filthy by the activity of the passions. In spite of this, thanks to our seeming asceticism, we attract men's praises and are bowled over and blinded in our intellect. How long shall we continue in this manner, our intellect reduced to futility, failing to make the spirit of the gospel our own, not knowing what it means to live according to our conscience, making no serious effort to keep it pure? Lacking real knowledge, we still trust solely in the apparent righteousness of our outward way of life, and so lead ourselves astray, trying to please men, pursuing the glory, honor, and praise which they offer. But the judge who cannot be deceived will certainly come, and will bring to light the things now hidden in darkness, and reveal the purposes of hearts. 1 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 5. He neither respects the wealthy nor pities the poor, but strips away the outward appearance and reveals the truth hidden within. In the presence of the angels and before His own Father, He crowns those who have truly pursued the spiritual way and lived according to their conscience. And in the presence of the heavenly church of the saints and of all the celestial hosts, He exposes those who possessed merely an outward pretense of devotion, which they displayed to men, vainly relying on it and deceiving themselves. And He banishes them in shame to outer darkness. Some people are like the foolish virgins, Matthew chapter 25, verses 1 through 12, who did indeed preserve their outer virginity, yet in spite of this were not admitted to the marriage feast. They also had some oil in their vessels, that is, they possessed some virtues and external achievements, and some gifts of grace, so that their lamps remained alight for a certain time. But because of negligence, ignorance, and laziness, they were not provident, and did not pay careful attention to the hidden swarm of passions energized within them by the evil spirits. Their thoughts were corrupted by these hostile energies, while they themselves assented to this demonic activity and shared in it. They were secretly enticed and overcome by malicious envy, by jealousy that hates everything good, by strife, quarreling, hatred, anger, bitterness, rancor, hypocrisy, wrath, pride, self-esteem, love of popularity, self-satisfaction, avarice, listlessness, by sensual desire, which provokes images of self-indulgence, by unbelief, irreverence, cowardice, dejection, contentiousness, sluggishness, sleep, presumption, self-justification, pomposity, boastfulness, insatiateness, profligacy, greed, by despair, which is the most dangerous of all, and by the subtle workings of vice. Even the good acts which they performed and their life of chastity were all for the sake of being seen and praised by men. And though they had a share in some gifts of grace, this they sold to the spirits of self-esteem and popularity. Because of their involvement with the other passions, they mixed their virtues with sinful and worldly thoughts, so rendering them unacceptable and impure, like Cain's sacrifice. Genesis chapter 4, verse 5. Thus they were deprived of the joy of the bridegroom and shut out from the heavenly bridal chamber. Pondering, assessing, and testing all this, let us realize our situation and correct our way of life while we still have time for repentance and conversion. Let us perform our good actions with purity, so that they are really good and not mixed with worldly thoughts. Otherwise, they will be rejected like a blemished sacrifice because of our irreverence, negligence, and want of real knowledge. Let us be careful not to waste our days, lest we undergo all the effort of the life of virginity, practicing self-control, keeping vigil, fasting, showing hospitality, only to find at the end that, because of the passions we have mentioned, our apparent righteousness, like the blemished sacrifice, proves unacceptable to the heavenly priest, Christ our God. Therefore, my son, he who wishes to take up the cross and follow Christ must first acquire spiritual knowledge and understanding through constantly examining his thoughts, showing the utmost concern for his salvation, and seeking God with all his strength. He should question other servants of God who are of the same mind and engaged in the same ascetic struggle, so that he does not travel in the dark without a light, not knowing how or where to walk. For the man who goes his own way, traveling without understanding of the Gospels and without any guidance, often stumbles and falls into many pits and snares of the devil. He frequently goes astray and exposes himself to many dangers, not knowing where he is going. For many have endured great ascetic labors, much hardship and toil, for God's sake, but because they relied on their own judgment, lacked discrimination, and failed to accept help from their neighbor, their many efforts proved useless